Welcome to Technoport Talks. We are so proud to announce this event as a part of Oslo Innovation Week this year. My name is Karianne Tung and I am the CEO of Technoport. We are happy to spend the next hour together with you folks, diving a little bit deeper into the topics of smart, sustainable cities. However, before I invite my guests to the stage, I just want to set all of you in the right mood. As we know, in 2020, 56% of the global population lived in cities. This percentage has been constantly increasing over the years and is expected to reach 70% by the 2050. So cities are going to play an important role in how we, like the humans, live and thrive. And there has been a lot of hype around the term smart cities. Today, we ask the question whether this has been done for the right reasons. So we're going to raise some questions. What is a smart city? What is a smart, sustainable city? And why are cities interested in being smart? So please welcome to the floor my guests today. Together with me, I have Annemie Wyckmans. You are head of NTNU's Smart Sustainable Cities. Welcome, Annemie.
Thank you.
And on my other side here, I have Morten Wolden. You are the CEO of Trondheim Municipality.
Thank you, Karianne.
Welcome. So, I've invited my two guests here today to share their stories and to tell what's been going on in the city of Trondheim and maybe what they plan to do in the future. And Annemie, I want to start with you. Let's dive into the term smart, sustainable city. What is a smart, sustainable city?
Well, what we mean with a smart, sustainable city is, all cities need to become climate neutral and they need to reach the Sustainable Development Goals, preferably by 2030. So that's very fast. It also means that they all need to work with energy and transport and citizen engagement and water and food and everything at the same time. And merging those different sectors is very difficult. And digital support, whether it's data or services or infrastructures, can help in that process. So when we talk about smart sustainable cities, that's what we mean. So it's digitalization that supports sustainability in cities.
Some people claim that smart sustainable cities has been kind of a hype. Maybe because it used to be a part of hyping new technologies into the city system. Has this changed over the years? So it's now more focused on the sustainable part in a smart, sustainable city and not so much about tech?
Well, it depends whom you ask.
I ask you.
But yes, so it did start as a very high-tech strategy, of course. But I think over the years it has matured. So because just a high-tech city, that no one wants to live there. So you need a high quality of life, you need good urban spaces, you need a sustainable way of living, and you need a city that enables you to do so. And by the way, when we say cities, it's also communities, smaller towns, etc. So villages, it doesn't have to be a city per se. So yes, from originally just looking at the high-tech opportunities and about the products and the equipment, it has matured a lot into what can we use it for. So sustainability, but also quality of life, for making sure everyone is included, making sure that citizens can take an active role in the development of their city, and their digitalization can actually help to get more people involved and get them involved in different ways. So we choose to define it in that way.
That brings me a little bit over to the societal innovation. Why is that important in this context?
Well, social or societal innovation, both of them. We need to transition to climate neutral, sustainable cities. And it's not going fast enough. Even if we take the best examples of cities out there, if everyone would do what they do, we still would not reach those goals of 2030. And so we need to do something different. We need to do it better, not just faster, but something else. And it's not enough that a small group of experts is trying to find solutions. So if we use the collective intelligence of the whole population, you know, those that know their local environments best, that know, you know, what they need, what are the challenges, the interests of people, if we really can use those, all of that knowledge and that experience, and use it to transform the city, we might actually get there by 2030. So, you know, in summer we heard that code red, we have no more time to lose. We might have experimented before, but time is up. You know, we can't just continue to do what we do now. So that is why we really now we try to find a new gear or a couple of new gears to really just do something else and find these other ideas, and by engaging citizens in any kind of role, also as professionals, but also as property owners, as tenants, you know, real estate developers, shopkeepers, in all of these capacities, if we really can engage people through digital means or by, you know, just social processes, etc., then we might actually reach our 2030 goals.
So it's about engaging and empowering the citizens as well.
Yes, and in installing creative confidence in a way, because a lot of people would think, oh, but I'm not an expert, you know, I'll just wait until someone develops something. And that's not true. So people are experts about their own lives, and sometimes, you know, there might be a hearing or there might be some kind of process where we invite them in. Then people, you know, a 200-page report, no one understands and no one wants to read it. But if we find different ways of engaging people, and by inviting them in a language, a setting that is easy to understand and easy for people to relate to, then, you know, they might actually engage and get the confidence also to suggest solutions. And we've seen that in a lot of different cities. Our partner city also in Limerick, for example, Ireland, every year they have this City Engage Week, and they invite everyone to come with new ideas. Technoport has always worked with an innovation playground. It's the same principle, but doing so on a larger scale, and not just 1 week a year, but the whole year.
Morten Wolden, the CEO of Trondheim Municipality. As I said, CEO of Trondheim Municipality, all the citizens and inhabitants in your city. Why is it important for Trondheim to be a smart, sustainable city?
I think it's important for all cities. And as you said, 56% of all people live in cities today, and in some years, 70%. That means that we are a big part of the problem. and then you have to be a part of the solution. So I think it's natural to link this to the UN 2030 agenda, because both when it comes to environment, climate situation, but also social and economic situation, we need to change, and the agenda is a plan for transformation to climate neutral cities. So we need to do something with our transportation systems, our mobility systems. We need to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, the climate pollution, and so on, emission from buildings and constructions. So we are in the same boat as other cities, I believe.
But when you define yourself now as a smart, sustainable city through this project, is it also acknowledging the citizen importance that inhabitants also has to contribute. You can't just as an administration like fix the problem. You have to involve...
I can't fix the problem.
Are you sure?
I'm sure of that. But we have built 5 laboratories in Trondheim with citizen involvement. But I think I will say something about our new master plan. Because when we started to work with the new master plan, which is a 12-year plan, we started to link it to the UN, the SDGs, the 17 and the 169. And we have invited people, all the children in the 8th grade at the school, but a lot of organizations, the business companies, the industry, they have come up with a lot of plans and interesting wishes for the city. And now we are mapping all these wishes into the 160 goals, SDG goals.
But the master plan, I just have to ask you, what is the master plan? So that everyone knows.
Yes, master plan. Today we have a very good master plan today also, because with the big goals for the city, and it's the political tool for how to what we will use money on and what we will have plans and strategies for the future. So it's a tool for the politicians. So when we are having the plan in February next year, you might be there and decide that. Then it will be the platform for all our use of money, I think. Yes.
And
we
the
will
goals.
follow all the plans and strategies and
So you invited all the 8th graders to give their point of views and organization.
And their wishes. You must use a language that they understand. So, because sustainability is not necessarily the right word, but what will they do in their own part of the city? What are their wishes on spare time or at school, or what will they? What are their dreams for the future? I think, and how can the city be a part of their dreams?
And now you link those views and comments together with the SDGs. We started with the SDGs and we follow up all the time, and we will end with the SDGs. And it's up to the politicians to make the final decision then. Annemie talked a little bit about it, but what kind of challenges do you think you are going to fix with being a smart, sustainable city and involving your citizens? What's the most important things to do?
I think it's if you link it to the SDGs again, then on the environmental climate side, it will be the mobility, it will be the transportation systems, it will be to come up with new digital solutions, make it easier to be a citizen here in Trondheim. But also when it comes to the social side of this, it's not sustainable that almost 15% of young people drop out of school, drop out of work, drop out of social life. And when you come to the economic side, we know that the municipalities will get less funding from the state, from the government. But the expectations from the citizens will increase. So there will be a gap, and we will fill the gap with new solutions. It might be technology, it might be other things, but we need to talk to the citizens to find the best solutions. So we have to work smarter and more efficient to deliver high quality services in the future.
So then we can maybe agree then that the goal here is that the citizens should have good lives in the future, and that we should kind of reach the SDG goals. That's the. So we are trying to find the pathway to these kind of solutions.
If I may comment one thing, because very often smart, sustainable cities, climate neutral cities deals a lot with the environmental part and the energy and the transport, etc. And of course that's needed, but you know, after all, so there's a fairly limited leeway for what you can do. So one thing we started to do to a much larger degree, so not just to engage people, but because that has always happened, but to link it more to culture and identity and values and what happens in your daily life, what you find important. But also then the quality of spaces, you know, if something is beautiful, or if it's a good quality of your experience, those types of things, because those really reach deep into people. And so if we can do much more with these elements, you can get a much bigger change and much faster. So we need to connect that technical, energy, environmental, transport, etc. elements with the feelings and the senses and the, you know, aesthetics and all of these things. So things that really make people happy and that make them feel safe and confident. And so that is one of the big challenges. We are testing how we can do that. And that's exactly where these types of exercises, also engaging children, youth, different types of groups in population, different types of inhabitants in different areas of Trondheim, why that's so important to get that whole experience base in.
Yeah, we mentioned a different kind of testing. One was the 8th graders. Do you have other examples on how you kind of test these different elements?
Well, so we have some projects and processes going then with real estate developers, but also with housing owners or tenants. So what is it they find important? We also work a lot with, for example, cultural sector, creative sectors, artists, not just for what they find important, but maybe different methods and processes. You know, they have a completely different way of seeing things, but also of asking questions. And maybe we can use that to engage people, but also just going in different areas and see, well, what is it that people find important in that area? Different generations, people who just moved in or that have been living there for a long time. And just getting that diversity in, I think, is very important.
We have also this Pådriv project.
Yeah.
I don't know what Pådriv is in English, but you gather a lot of different people, architects, students, and real estate builders and so on, and they go into the area and see what is it for me. What do I want from this area? What is my wishes here? So I think that's a good thing to do, where the municipality don't have a central role. We are part of it, but we are not a central role in it.
I think I heard an example from Pådriv here when we talk about it, that there was a guy who wanted to have more common playgrounds for his kids in the area he lived. And then Pådriv came in and asked different partners, okay, there's a guy here who want to have more playgrounds in the area. How can we work together to fix it? And then they talked to the municipality about reusing some of the materials, which like benches and stuff, which were hidden away and nobody used them. Talked to the real estate agent, where can we put it? And then also some of the researchers came in and did some research on all the process. So it's about a new way of kind of working together. Is it then hard as a municipality to kind of let go of some of the perspectives here? Because you put maybe more responsibility and more choices into both citizens and researchers' hands.
Yes, it's a good question. Not for me. It's easy for me. Probably, I don't know if it's easy for the politicians, but for people working with these cases, it might be difficult, I think. But it's a good thing, and we have also done this on Områdeløft at Søbstad, which was very huge success.
And Områdeløft Søbstad, it's kind of the same as for Groruddalen in Oslo, or some similar.
And I think young people went into this project. They looked at that area that were just wood and not used at all, and say, we want a park here. And they, together with architects, they draw this park, and now it's there. So it's I think they own that park there, really. That's a good way of working together with the citizens.
Yeah. You are both partnered in something called the Positive City Exchange, and I think we should talk just a little about what that is. Annemie, can you maybe explain it? It's an EU-funded project.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of these big lighthouse projects. So basically, where the European Commission is looking for lighthouses, so big demonstration, exemplary projects, cities that want to show how you can become climate neutral. You know, maybe not as a whole city at once, but in specific districts and areas. And so we have a project called Positive City Exchange, where we work with 7 cities, Trondheim being one of them, and then 32 partners in total, so a lot of companies involved, some NGOs, etc., to try then to demonstrate how you can make these areas, so a neighborhood that generates more energy than it consumes, where you have also good electrical mobility, where you have good citizen participation, you know, those types of, so where everything together is merged into one project in one district. And so we have 2 lighthouse cities. Trondheim is one of them, and Limerick in Ireland is the other one. And then 5 other cities in Europe that are following what Trondheim and Limerick are doing, learning from it, and then, you know, implementing it themselves. And we got 20 million euros from the European Commission to do this, 5 years. 5 years is not enough.
No, it's short.
That's it. You know, it's very interesting because there are 18 of these projects now. So more than 130 cities involved, several hundreds companies in Europe. There's only one that's led by a university.
That says something about the university, though.
Yes, yes. But so it means that it's one big family, basically. So all of these cities, the companies are sharing experiences, are working together to try to see, you know, if someone already did something and it failed, you know, we're not going to do exactly the same thing. So in a way, it helps Trondheim to learn from others. But Trondheim then also has a big influence on what other cities are doing, because, you know, we might have tested something that worked well, that has been taken over by others, or that we've tested a few things that didn't work and then we found a better solution, and it helps others to not make the same mistakes.
So it's learning from each other, best practice. And
yes, and someone has to do something for the first time. And that's the interesting thing about the project, is that so it has, yes, energy and mobility and engagement and working with regulations and a lot of these different aspects. And it's not about one technology or one solution individually, because that is something that a company could just do. But it's about bringing all of these different companies together, working together with the municipality, with the university, with different organizations to find the best solution and integrate the different pieces of equipment with the local setting, with the urban environment, with the culture and history of the environment, to find that one solution that fits there. And that takes a lot of time. But that is one of those things where, yes, we invested a lot of time in this project, and this is a 5-year project. But during the project, you know, we found opportunities for new projects, new processes. We've transferred what we learned to other parts of the cities as well, even in our own organizations. You know, the people that are linked to the project We meet with other people in our own organization, Trondheim Municipality, NTNU. We also have a university city agreement, and so we really try to just use our experience to also update a lot of other processes, and that I think is the interesting part. And interestingly enough, it's not necessarily then the technical solutions that the European Commission is interested in. It's exactly these processes. And so there, I think we automatically think of innovations as technologies. But actually it's, the processes. So for example, how Trondheim linked this project to the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals and created a whole process around it, like a bold city vision, not just doing a separate project, but linking it to everything the municipality does and the way it interacts with other partners, to create small projects for testing something, to include it in regulations, etc. And that whole process is a much bigger innovation than a new piece of equipment. And we also got recognized by the European Commission for this.
Yeah, because this, Morten, as a municipality, public sector, being a part of a EU-funded project, working together with researchers, has it kind of changed the way a municipality operates? And what as a example of being a smart, sustainable city, taking part in the Positive City Exchange project, what's the most important thing that you get out of it?
I think it's for first, it's fantastic to be a part of it, because it's this collaboration with both the university and the business partners. It's great, and I think it has been possible because we have in Trondheim, everybody knows everybody, so we know each other, and there's trust, and we share on each other. And through this project, we have come even closer, and we have worked out some very exciting projects, like at the Brattøra, the positive electric block at the powerhouse. But I think it's more, as Annemie says, it's the process. I think it's the most important. So it's the biggest project I've been a part of. But now we are ready for some new projects, and we are closing down this.
Yeah.
So and people in the municipality, my folks, they are working. Some of them, most of them, really work both in the municipality and at the project, and then they can use their competence they get in the project into the municipality, and vice versa. So it's interesting.
That's good education as well.
Very good education. Yeah.
When you work in the Positive City Exchange, you work together with other cities.
Yeah.
If you should put kind of a status on Trondheim being a smart, sustainable city, we talked about the Positive City Exchange, Pådriv as an example, another. Where do you place yourself, at a rating, informal rating? Are we good at this?
I think we are very good in thinking system innovation, holistic, and I think that's the future. But when we look into single individual innovations, you might be in the middle or somewhere. But we have the university, and we work also together with, as Annemie said, the University City Agreement, which is also very interesting, because then we work on both education, health and welfare, city development, and some of the same people work on both places then. So
and about the agreement between the university and the city is about making the city more like a lab, both for the university and also for the municipality to learn and to integrate.
Yes, it's a lot of outcomes of that, because we got more skilled students that will work in the municipality afterwards. But also we get access to the best competence, both nationally and internationally. and we are a living lab for the university. So it's plus.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some say, Annemie, that the role of the university has changed over time from being like this academic jail of ideas and knowledge and research, just like in this small box, hundreds of years ago almost, or at least 100 years ago, and now being like an open part of the city, at least in some cities. And I would say Trondheim is a good example, and NTNU as well, of opening up and sharing resources, being interested in each other and working together.
Yes.
Yeah.
we can,
I think NTNU is in one division, and all the universities are in second, third, and so
we see that our role has changed. So of course not everyone in the whole university, but from doing research, being, having academic activities, so we shifted quite a lot towards almost being like a bridge or glue or whatever you need, but so bringing different commercial partners together with cities, trying to find solutions, and that in that way, yes, it is a kind of research, because you make sure that everything is based on the knowledge that is available. You try to document the processes, etc. But it's very different from sitting on an ivory tower and in a room and just thinking and writing, etc. So, but you see that. So our students, well, I work at the architecture and design faculty. Our students have always been engaged in the city. If you walk around in Trondheim, you'll always see, you'll see like a half bridge, and you see stairs and a lot of things that the students have built, or different areas in which they've been engaged. And we transfer that in a way to projects. We use also the principles of experts in team, and just translated it to a project structure, and how do we work together with the different partners. And it works. And then what we learn in the project from working with Trondheim, with the commercial partners, we bring that back. We try to connect students to it as well. And that is exactly, again, this societal innovation. So it's not about just students learning something in a classroom for a couple of years and then they get out into practice. So we see what it takes to run these kinds of projects and to actually make like climate neutral cities that are beautiful and inclusive and sustainable. And if we want our students as future professionals to be prepared for this, and even also as citizens, then that needs to go into those years that they study at the university. They can't start to do that when they get out. So we are looking for even like more options to get students from the very first year in these types of projects.
Morten, we have mentioned some examples now of like being this smart, sustainable city, but there are a lot of things going on in Trondheim. City development project, the university are gathering their campuses. They're going to be built new research infrastructure such as Ocean Space Center, and new city area are kind of popping up. Nyhavna Brattøra, we talked about it.
Yes.
How is it to put all of this popping project, or wanted project, I would say, working together and fitting into the framework of a smart, sustainable city?
I think I don't see that's a big problem. But there's a lot of things happening, as you say. It's over the last years, new clusters, incubators, co-working spaces along all the knowledge axis, and from Sluppen in the south to Brattøra and the new harbor. New harbor. What a opportunity that is. Because now I think they live their own lives, and we also now have worked with the Innovation District, which is now become Trondheim Technoport, which I have believe in.
Yeah, that's good.
but there's a lot of things happening, and it's just amazing to be a part of that now. And it's important to bring the stakeholders together and let them be a part of this, because I think we will see a lot of things happening in Trondheim in the next 5 to 10 years that will bring us up to another level then. So what do you think about Trondheim Techport then, Karianne?
Yeah, I can also, I think it's a great idea. Today you are a guest at this Technoport talk, which is Technoport, but Technoport is also going to change and become Trondheim Techport in a while, in a couple of weeks. And the idea behind Trondheim Techport is the same idea as behind the Oslo Science City, Copenhagen Science City, is to build both culturally and infrastructure-wise, the spirit of innovation and bringing different innovation actors together, which we know, like the public sector, the business sector, the research and education, the money, which we know that we need, making new solutions possible, both as new companies, but also as innovation in existing sectors, as, for example, public sector, system-wise. And also the startups and the new businesses. So taking these brave steps as Trondheim as a city does now by doing Trondheim Techport together with a lot of partners, doing the Positive City Exchange project, I think it shows that Trondheim as a city really mean it when they take the new steps. So I think it's a new way of working as a municipality. It's a change of role, maybe. Yeah.
But when we also talk about innovation, we must mention the UN Center for Sustainability, because this is a very vibrant hub for innovation, where also students come in, and 50-60 business partners now are working hard, close together with innovation within sustainability. So that is also a very important part of the future. So, but I think it's important to work together with other cities, because this is a talk at the Oslo Innovation Week. So, and I love to work together with them. This SDGs are so important. We can't solve this alone. So we work also together in the bærekraftsnettverket with other cities and county authorities, with measuring and monitoring our performance at the SDGs.
Yeah, because that's some of the point with the bærekraftsnettverket. It's a part of KS, and it's the biggest Norwegian cities are a part of, or not only the biggest, but a lot of
them, and also the county authorities, some of them.
And there you work together to find measurements on how you are doing on sustainability and the SDG.
Yes, we have started on one measurement that with 72 KPIs that, and when a lot of cities have all these KPIs, you can see where there is something to do.
Yeah,
it's,
the red spots.
The red spots where it's gap, and you can fill that gap with new technology, new solutions, and there's I think this is opportunity for the local businesses and industry.
Because it's important not just to talk about being sustainable, but it's important to identify and find the gaps, as you say, where we can do something to change it, so that we by 2030 hopefully can achieve the 17 different goals.
Are closer.
And I guess it's the linkages between, because one of the challenges with these kind of stars or circles is that you have different sectors.
Yeah.
And if you start to focus on one, you might miss the linkage between. And what is very exciting now is that so the European Commission has challenged cities, communities, to become climate neutral by 2030, but not just climate neutral, doing that in a way that is beautiful and inclusive and sustainable, and with reconnecting to nature and transforming the built environment, so not building new, but transforming what we already have, and like reskilling society with social inclusion, engaging arts and architects and designers to ask different questions, to engage people, all of these things. And so it's the mixture of the different sectors. that's what they're looking for, and there we think also that Trondheim, of course, has a big potential. For example, with Nyhavna, but also with other areas. Basically, all of them that we have mentioned now. Also, Brattøra, Slippen, the central city. So that would be a very interesting challenge. Then, how can we evolve these projects that originally were quite technical, but with citizen engagement, etc. But how can we really shift them then towards this has to also link with culture and identity. It has to be beautiful. It has to be a good experience for people. How do we do that? And does that fit into those, indicators? Can we measure? Can we not measure, not quantify, but can we at least document that? Can we see that we're having a positive effect, or what we do? Maybe it's a lot of activity, but it doesn't actually lead somewhere. So how do we do that? That's a very interesting question.
But I think the KPIs then is a methodology, trying out something, because that will be the end part of it. So it's very important what you say, because the KPIs will be technical KPIs. We want to create a city and communities where people want to live. So we have to put on some other other KPIs then, and ask people what kind of Trondheim will they live in the future, which is climate neutral and sustainable and resilient, all that.
And that would be a very interesting thing to test. So the process you had, with also asking 8th graders, asking different parts of the population, what is it you need? What are you interested in? How, if you could take that process and make it into a method that other cities can use, and how would you use these technical indicators together with such a process to get a really like a holistic view? So to describe that and to share it with other cities, and maybe there's other ones that are doing something similar, we can learn from them. So these types of ideas to always look for a step further, that is a very exciting, it's almost like a side effect of the project. So in addition, the commercial partners, they develop new projects, sometimes even new businesses based on what we're doing. But in addition to that, so to generate these new processes and to have the opportunity to test them together and to see how they could be used in other parts of society or other cities. That's, I think, one of the most exciting parts of that cooperation.
Annemie, you have been working now for a couple of years with Smart Sustainable City and also as a head of that project at NTNU. But what has been the most challenging by working on this? Is there some specific things you want to mention, or is it like in processes, or is it just straightforward, no problem?
I think when we created these projects, we had set aside a lot of time for coordination and anchoring and dialogue with partners, and just making sure that we have time to develop things together. And in reality, we use at least 10-20 times more time than what we originally had foreseen. Basically, I think my entire working day is revolved around these types of processes. But that exactly, again, is very exciting, because in each of these interactions, in all of that dialogue, every time we try to anchor something, we discover something new that actually might be more important or much more interesting than what we originally had foreseen. So we have set up the project with open innovation. So it means that, yes, we had a plan, with a budget and activities, but it's very flexible. So when we find something that's better, or we find something that we can't do as originally planned, but here's some alternatives, we are allowed to do that. And so we're always looking for, can we do something better? And not just deliver what we had written up, 3-4 years ago, but always looking, the world changes, obviously, challenges change, become much more urgent. And so we always have to be aware of our role as a lighthouse. And so then we can't just say, oh, this heat pump isn't working, so we'll just drop that part. No, then we work together with the partners to find a different solution that maybe is even better than what we originally planned. And we make sure that happens. But for that, you need, some of us need to spend more or less all of our time on these processes. But I think that's where a lot of this innovation arises, by getting people together, getting them talking, discussing, negotiating, and then trying to find these good solutions. And what a lot of commercial partners have said that is, yes, they want to work together, but none of them have the resources to invest in actually getting together and developing it. So that is also one of these different roles for a university, maybe, to create a space where commercial partners and municipality can come in and have this interaction. And maybe that's, a large part of what the municipality now does as well. So to provide these spaces where it is possible to create innovations.
Can I bring in one question?
Yeah.
Just because Annemie also works on behalf of EU with the China cooperation. Can you say something about how China now work with sustainability? Smart and sustainable solutions?
Right. Yes. Well, there the urgency is, of course, much higher, even especially in terms of air pollution, for example, or any kind of pollution, and transport, energy. So we need to find solutions fast. 5 years is not going to work because people are commuting 2 hours in each direction every day just to get to work, etc. So but the process in a way is the same. So looking for good solutions that could work in the local setting, and then not just doing them once, but making sure that a lot of cities can learn and replicate them. And of course the solutions will be different, but the methods of interaction and creating these settings have been very similar. So it is. We just finished one project now where we looked at social inclusion. So yes, sustainability, technologies, but how do you do that in a way that includes the population and has a societal innovation factor? And so that is challenging, of course, also because of language. But then we have Chinese nationals that work at NTNU in Trondheim that work with us in this perspective. But
is it very different working with Morten and his colleagues in Trondheim and then working with regions, cities in China?
Well, I mean, the
except
settings,
the language, of course, but
the local context, of course, is completely different. But I think a lot of the mechanisms are very similar, and that is because my colleagues work, for example, also with India. We work with Singapore, Korea. So what we found is that when we go elsewhere, even in Europe, in other countries, so we try to be very aware of the setting. We ask questions. We are careful to make sure that we understand the setting, and often we would have taken cooperation in Trondheim maybe more for granted because you know people, etc. So one thing I learned is that actually this cautiousness that we have when we go outside in asking questions, make sure you've understood, that's actually quite useful to do in Trondheim or any other city in Norway as well, because sometimes you're so used to the context that you take things for granted. And by asking questions, you can find new ways of doing things. So it's kind of we learn from being out which we can take back here, but at the same time we learn a lot from working in Trondheim that we can take with us elsewhere.
Why I asked the question is because I'm a bit afraid that we are moving too slow, that we are standing at the platform and the train leaves. So not only the municipality and the public sector, but mostly for the private sector, the commercial partners that we are working with, are we moving too slow?
Well, you mentioned system innovation earlier, and that is one thing for which we often get invited abroad. So because, yes, you might have companies with much more advanced technical systems, and you might have, just a much larger number of students and solution providers involved, but it's the integration between it and the processes that often are lacking. So that's one thing I find very interesting, of course. So that of course you need to translate the process to a different setting. That's difficult, but yes, we could accelerate. We could do things faster. Yes, but that is I think it's not necessarily by doing the same and then trying to do it faster and more effective, but it's by engaging more people so that we can find good solutions faster. Or we have a bigger diversity. So imagine with a couple of experts, you can come up with some ideas to test, but if you involve many more people, you can test 100 times as many solutions much faster in different areas of the city. You can learn from them. And then if you connect them, all of the 30+ thousand students to that as well. So if we don't just regard them as students, but engage also in internships, working with local projects, with local companies, shopkeepers, local organizations, then we could develop much faster, and at the same time then the city would have a lot of new capacity that can be used in the next couple of years. So I think that's one of the, maybe if that's like if there's any priority for the next year, I would think that's so to link all of these innovation projects and the development of that new master plan and quality programs for Nyhavna, for example, development of new områdeluft, just getting all of these students involved in different roles, and connecting with the local population and really finding a way to get everyone empowered to take part in this. And just helping that. Maybe there NTNU and Trondheim Kommune can also work together to build processes that can support others to do this work.
Morten, I want to challenge you. We're getting close to the end, but you have now been working, I would say, in a different way the last couple of years with becoming a smart, sustainable city, with the Positive 60 Exchange, together with NTNU, a lot of different things going on. What do you regret something? Or should you wish that you have done something differently? And when I say you, I really mean the municipality, though.
Yes, there is something I regret, and anchoring this to the political system hasn't been good enough, because that's very important when you are working with changing projects, with so big projects. So and they have to own the transformation. Yeah. So that's. But
is that an advice then to other cities doing the same? Yes. Anchoring.
And they must do their home lesson when it comes to applications, because that's hard work over many years. Yeah. So Positive City Exchange, it was the third time we succeeded. But that was also good, because then we got the stakeholders together and we owned it together. So, but I think we have learned a lot from it, and the municipal organization has got a lot of new competencies, and it's great to be a part of it. So,
is that the best part then? being a part of it.
Yes, and being a part of steering committee, of
Yeah.
course. But I met a lot of very smart persons. I've been to Annemie in China, met and got a different view on China than I had before. But I love collaboration. I love to work together with people that want development. And I also love to work together with the other cities in Norway. I think we should have done more with digital solutions, with procurement of sustainable solutions.
Yeah. There's an invite to your
There's
colleagues
an
here.
invite. There's
Yeah.
an invite.
Yeah. Annemie, to sum it all up, smart sustainable cities. How important is the term and the way of working now, do you think, in the future? Is it important to keep doing this work together?
I think the term doesn't really matter. You know what you call it. You can also call it regenerative cities or green cities or whatever. So, but the work is absolutely important. And you know, we tested this now for a couple of years, and we need to step up our ambitions. I think we've been a bit careful, you know, and we'll just do the energy and mobility part, and with engagement, you know, that's more than difficult enough. But now, you know, we're just saying, okay, fine. So we need cities and districts that are, yes, climate neutral and beautiful and inclusive and well anchored in local identity and history and reconnecting with nature, with water, with local food systems, with reuse of materials. And we just want the whole package. And anyone that wants to cooperate on this. And, you know, we also have ocean experts and history experts, etc. And so it almost doesn't matter what kind of discipline they have or what kind of sector or citizen. So there's so much. In order to create these cities, we're going to need all that knowledge. So I would really like to, you know, to find like more organizations, but also a bigger part of the university, for example, to be engaged in this, to work together. So it's not just something, a project that you have at an architecture faculty, but it's like the whole university with all of its disciplines. Similar with Trondheim municipality. So it's not one unit, it's a cooperation across the whole municipality. And I think that way of organizing things will mean that we can step up the ambitions. Now we tested a couple of years, so now we can take this with us and create new, you know, scale it up, replicate in different areas and move faster. And hopefully then also with this really, I really hope that in a year from now, you know, we will have managed to include this citizens to a much larger degree, the students, testing this in different areas in Trondheim now, and just harvesting all of that knowledge, all of that experience, and then making new methods out of it with which others again can try. So in that way, I think we could accelerate much faster and maybe reach our 2030 goals.
Morten, famous last words. Do you agree with Annemie?
Yeah, I agree. But I think the process is so important because we have this football coach. He's 80 years old now. Has his 80 years anniversary this week, really.
And it's Nils Arne Eggen.
It's Nils
he's
Arne
talking
Eggen,
about.
yes.
Yeah.
I thought everybody knows that.
Maybe not everybody.
But his famous word is that the path is the goal, the process is the goal. So I think that's very important to remember.
Very good last words, Morten. I'm sorry, but we are out of time. I want to say thank you to our experts, which is Annemie Wyckmans, Head of NTNU Smart Sustainable Cities, and Morten Wolden, which is CEO of Trondheim Municipality. Thank you for watching Technoport Talk as a part of Oslo Innovation Week 2021. Please join us for our next talk. Goodbye.